The Devil's Shrike, A Tale of Terror. Introduction. In the heart of Morocco, nestled within an arid and desolate region, lies a small, forgotten village surrounded by jagged cliffs and dense, foreboding forests. Locals speak in hushed tones about a creature they call Zagbat al-Shaytan, or the Devil's Shrike. It is said to be a harbinger of doom, a being that thrives on fear and despair, feeding on the souls of those who dare to cross its path. Few believe the stories, dismissing them as folklore meant to frighten children. But those who know the truth warn, once the Shrike marks you, there is no escape. The beginning. It all began with Hamid, a hunter who lived on the outskirts of the village. He was known for his fearlessness, venturing deep into the forbidden forest where others dared not tread. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the forest grew dark, Hamid pursued a wounded hare that had darted into the underbrush. The deeper he went, the more unnatural the forest felt. The trees seemed to close in around him, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The air grew heavy, and an eerie silence replaced the usual sounds of the night. It was then that he heard it, a blood-curdling scream, high-pitched and unearthly, echoing through the darkness. Hamid froze, his pulse quickening. The scream was unlike anything he had ever heard, a sound that seemed to pierce his very soul. Against his better judgment, he pressed on, drawn by a strange, inexplicable compulsion. The encounter. As he entered a small clearing, the moonlight revealed a horrific sight. Perched on a twisted tree was the creature, Zagbat al-Shaytan. Its form was grotesque, part bird, part beast. Its eyes glowed a fiery red, and its talons, sharp as daggers, clutched the tree bark. Its wings were ragged and black, casting ominous shadows that seemed to writhe on their own. The creature tilted its head, studying Hamid with an unnatural intelligence. Then it opened its beak, releasing another deafening scream that sent shivers down his spine. He stumbled backward, dropping his rifle, as the creature leapt into the air, its massive wings carrying it closer. Hamid turned and ran, his breath ragged, his heart pounding like a drum. The forest seemed endless, the trees all the same, offering no sense of direction. Behind him, he could hear the creature's wings beating, the sound growing louder with every step. The curse. Hamid barely made it out alive. When he finally burst into the village, his face was pale, his eyes wide with terror. He spoke of the creature to anyone who would listen, describing its piercing scream and its fiery gaze. But the elders only shook their heads, their faces grim. "You have been marked," one of them said. "The Shrike does not simply let its prey go. It will return, and when it does, it will claim your soul." Despite their warnings, Hamid tried to go about his life as usual. But strange things began to happen. At night, he heard the Shrike scream outside his window, even though no one else did. Shadows moved where there was no light, and an overwhelming sense of dread followed him wherever he went. The haunting. As the days turned into weeks, Hamid's health deteriorated. He grew pale and thin, plagued by vivid nightmares in which the Shrike tore at his flesh with its talons. Villagers began to avoid him, whispering that he was cursed. One stormy night, Hamid awoke to find his room bathed in an eerie red light. Standing at the foot of his bed was the Shrike, its eyes glowing like embers. Before he could scream, it lunged at him, its talons sinking into his chest. The villagers found Hamid's body the next morning. His face was frozen in a look of absolute terror, his skin cold and lifeless. His house was eerily quiet, save for a faint rustling sound that no one could explain. The legacy. To this day, the legend of Zagbat al-Shaytan endures. Travelers passing through the village are warned not to venture into the forest after dark. Some claim to have seen the Shrike perched on the cliffs, watching, waiting for its next victim. And if you ever hear it scream in the dead of night, remember, it's already too late. The Devil's Shrike has chosen you.